Today, as Norm and I cut through the middle of New York State, we wind up in the farming town of Lowville, just in time for a little football practice.
NFL players in the making.
Speaking of ultimate rides, later on in the show, we'll step into the time capsule as we take a look at a motorcycle that during its 1959 launch was touted as the best motorcycle in the world.
I think every young man's dream in the 60s was to own a Bonneville.
Then we'll head out to the West Coast, to the beautiful town of Duncan on Vancouver Island, to catch up with our rookie adventure rider Matt Fletcher as he gets another invaluable lesson in the art of box trail U-turns.
I'm going to open the throttle, controlling the momentum with the clutch.
Plus, over in our contest corner, Kylie will give us another valuable clue in our scooter contest giveaway. All this and more as TSN presents Motorcycle Experience. Hello and welcome to Motorcycle Experience, the voice of motorcyclists everywhere. I'm Dave Hatch, and this week I'm just hanging out at West City Power Sports in Belleville, Ontario. As for our feature this week, we'll kick things off by sampling Yamaha's open-class sports machine, the YZF R1. Hard to believe that Yamaha first introduced this 998cc inline-4 open-class sports machine back in 1998. However, this is not a long-in-the-tooth story. No sir, far from it. Pretty much every 2 years since, Yamaha has continued to refine this showcase machine. How so, you ask? Well, by continually adding MotoGP trickle-down technology, like a cross-plane crank, complete with a regular firing order. Then there's the ride-by-wire technology, and electronic variable height inlet trumpets. Fast forward now to this version, and you can also add a new traction control system based on Yamaha's current MotoGP bike, replete with 6 settings and a new 3-level electronic ride mode that lets you choose your engine performance map based on the road conditions. Yamaha calls it a technical tour de force, and I have to agree. But you don't have to take my word for it. Here's longtime viewer Mark Russell with his full-on riding impression. Well, Mark, this is the 50th anniversary GP edition R1. The color scheme is perfect. Back in the day when Wayne Rainey and Eddie Lawson and the boys were riding bikes that looked like this, could you ever imagine that someday we could own bikes like this?
Yeah, not at all, and especially not own them for the kind of price the bike is. It's less than $15,000. That doesn't even get you a functional car, and it gets you the fastest super bike on the road.
It's pretty shocking, the performance of this bike. I would have to say that engine is certainly, you better be awake.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's powerful everywhere. I will say it didn't really enjoy trolling around town at low RPM, but other than that, it was smooth and torquey and competent anywhere you went with it.
Now, you were pointing out to me that you did a little bit of research on the firing order and on the crank pin setup, and you said as a result, the motor does feel a little different. I didn't notice that, but you did.
Yeah, I did. It's noticeable. As I said, riding around town, it's not as smooth as I thought it was going to be, and I think that's just because it's a high-strung bike and it's not for trolling city streets. But everywhere else, the motor pulled really smoothly from whatever RPM, whatever throttle opening. It just delivered what you asked for in a really smooth and seamless way.
Yeah.
The other thing about that is the exhaust note sounds a little different than a typical across the frame 4-cylinder.
Now maybe that's what we're talking about when they talk about the firing order and the crank pin setup. So you said it sort of sounds just a little more snarly, a little lumpier.
Yeah, and I know that Yamaha claims it sounds like the MotoGP bike that Ben Spies is riding right now, which would be a snarly, crazy beast. And this does it simulates that sound, and it sounds a little different from everybody else's across the frame 4.
So what did you think? Did you like the power? Did you like cracking the throttle?
Oh, it was awesome. You know, cracking the throttle, that's the other thing about the smooth power delivery. It has traction control, which I was able to use. And when you crack the throttle, you don't get this violent tank slapping you in the face out of control. It just accelerates like a beast, but smoothly.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you like the way it stopped?
There's a ton of brake. They're gigantic 6-piston calipers, I think, something like that, or 3-piston, whatever. They're big, and it can haul it down from any pace, and it lifts the back wheel off the ground if that's your intent. It's pretty controllable and strong.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a fairly new bike. Did you find the shifting was okay? The clutch, it's a cable actuated clutch. It's not adjustable in the lever. Was it light enough for you in terms of shifting, downshifting?
Frankly, I didn't use it while we were moving. I used it to get going. It upshifts without the clutch without any trouble whatsoever, and it downshifts without the clutch as long as you're actually braking. If you need to change down a gear while you're trolling in town, you would use the clutch, which was easy to do. But for riding briskly, you don't really need it. It shifts smoothly up and down.
What did you think of the riding position? I have a hard time asking people about that when we're talking about, you know, fairly hard edge sport bikes. I mean, it's going to be radical. What did you think?
It's what you'd expect for a sport bike. I didn't find it uncomfortable. This is not the smallest 1000cc sport bike now, so I didn't find it as crunched up as could be. It's not like my elbows were in around my waist or my heels were up on my butt. There's enough room on the bike. There's enough room to move around. Seat's reasonably comfortable.
Yeah.
I could ride a distance in it. It wasn't hardcore.
Yeah. Now the front fork, you mentioned to me that you wanted to touch upon the rake. It's quite steep. Did you notice a difference with that?
Well, it's pretty steep. I think it's 24 degrees, and it's a really big, sturdy fork. And what that allows is a change of direction pretty much at any speed with a little push on the bar. And the fork is so strong and the rake so steep that it'll just flick back and forth based on what you want. I really think you more think you're going to go that direction and off you go. It's not ponderous or anything. It's instant.
Fit, finish. You've seen a lot of sport bikes over the years. What did you think of this one?
It's nicely put together. I give them extra marks for the retro, cool Yamaha racing livery. I really like that. It just reminds me, as you said, back in the day of Wayne Rainey and Eddie Lawson and all those great guys that we remember racing in Grand Prix. And this is the look. This is the way Yamahas are supposed to look.
Did anything disappoint you?
I wouldn't say disappointing, but I found around town trolling a trying experience, and maybe that's more of the type of bike it is. It's not intended for that.
Right.
Yeah, you can't make a racehorse walk around the barn.
Right.
You got to run it.
What really surprised you about the bike? What impressed you the most?
I think the power delivery and the smoothness of it is really strong and seamless.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah.
A lot at your right hand. So who would you recommend this bike for? Clearly, it's not for your beginner rider. We know that. But
no.
Who would appreciate this bike?
This would be for an experienced rider, and I would say somebody who had track experience, because really, to get everything this bike has to offer, you need to go to a track day and ride it there.
Right.
It's all well and fine to be speeding around on the highways in the countryside, but to really get what the bike has to offer, I think you need to ride it on a track. And it doesn't need to be racing, it can just be a club track day.
Right.
But that requires an experienced rider, somebody who's had fast bikes and had some training at that type of work.
Well, Mark, looked like you had a lot of fun today.
Oh, it was great, thank you. Yeah. Really enjoyed it.
You want to take it for another couple hours?
Yeah, maybe a couple of days.
Okay, thought so. Good job.
Thanks again, Mark. Next, three-time Dakar competitor Don Hatton shows us how to get out of a jam when a narrow trail suddenly turns into a dead end. We'll also step back into time to examine a very famous set of wheels sent across the pond from Britain to conquer America. And Kylie will check in with another key feature in our scooter contest giveaway. So stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda Canada. BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycle. Closed captioning of Motorcycle Experience is brought to you by Motovan. Welcome back as TSN presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and it's time now to catch up with our rookie road rider, Matt Fletcher. This week he's back out in Duncan, BC, getting another adventure tip on what to do when you suddenly run out of trail.
Okay, Matt, so what you've seen already is we've done the hills, and we've done the hill recoveries, and we've done all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And all of those things are designed for when you're traveling on your adventure on your bike and you're up in the mountains and you come across a hill. Now what we're running into is you're driving along the logging road, you see an incredible road you want to go down, you follow the road, and suddenly you find out it's a box canyon. And you're riding a 450, 500-pound motorcycle,
Right.
and it's really difficult to get that bike turned around. But if you don't get it turned around, you're going to get to test out your brand new emergency blanket, because you're not coming home. So, and you got to remember, there's no signal there either, and your spot battery is dead,
Right.
and you don't know how to read a compass. So you're in pretty bad shape. So
Okay.
well, like you city boys are when you're in the venture riding.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to teach you how to turn your bike around in a box trail. So that technique, there's nothing pretty about it. You're riding a 600 or 500-pound motorcycle, 400-pound motorcycle.
Yeah.
You're not riding an enduro bike. So you'll see your buddies on the enduro bikes come by. They'll do this thing so perfect. They'll go whoop and go the other way.
Right.
You can't do that.
Okay.
On top of that, we have traction control. So it's wanting to dig in. So what we're going to do,
Yeah.
we're going to start up the bike,
Okay.
and we're going to open the throttle and control it with the clutch. Again,
Oh, okay.
always the clutch.
Right.
And we're going to try and pivot the bike around ourselves on this little tight space so we can go back the direction that we want to go in.
Okay.
So stand over there,
All right.
Matt, so I don't kill you.
Will do.
We're going to fire this baby up. I'm going to get on it.
Yep.
I'm going to lean the bike against me. I'm going to crank the bars over. I'm going to open the throttle, controlling the momentum with the clutch. And you should be able to do that all day. So
Now you're just showing off.
I'm showing off. You like that? So
I
that's
do.
how you do it. So I'm going to let you try it now.
Okay.
And the one thing you want to be most careful of, happens quite a bit, and you'll see those guys, some of them probably still work for Yamaha. They walk like this.
Yeah.
So that's because they screwed themselves into the ground. So I don't want you to do that. So
Okay.
remember, clutch controls the speed.
Yep.
The throttle to break the wheel loose. So control your momentum with the clutch.
Yep.
So if you find yourself going roo, 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 grab the clutch,
Okay.
because I'm not
Cuts
reaching
off
in to
the
get
power.
you.
All right.
Okay, Matt?
That's great. Thanks, Don.
All right, good luck.
Always excellent advice, Don. Now there's still plenty more experience ahead. Next, after soaking up the site in Woodstock 69, Norm and I go long in Lowville, New York. Stay with us. Welcome back as TSN presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch. It's time now for this week's installment in the Ultimate Ride. As Norm and I make our way north to Watertown, New York, we decide to stop off in Lowville for a little football practice. Last fall, Norm and I rode east out of Toronto, looking to spend a couple of days exploring the Catskill Mountains, located about 4 hours south of the Canadian border. It splits the St. Lawrence River near Kingston, Ontario. Our ultimate destination was the site of the famous Woodstock concert, held back in 1969. Today, as we wind down day 3 in our odyssey, we're running hard, due north, straight through the middle of the state, just east of the Adirondack Mountains. After a quick lunch stop in Rome to check out Fort Stanwix, we continue north on Highway 26, skirting the Tug Hill Plateau as we arrive in Lowville, home of the Red Raiders.
Well, Norm, it's the Lowville Red Raiders. Here they are, ready to practice as we wind down day 3 of our tour.
NFL players in the making.
We're at the fairgrounds in Lowville, and these guys are going to go for a run, but this is great. We're wrapping up day 3. Lowville, New York. I think I know why they call it Lowville. It truly felt like for the last 30 minutes or so, we've been riding on a plateau. Did you not get that sense?
Completely, yeah, because as we look to the right, there was a big dip, and then there was the next set of mountain ranges to the east of us, so definitely we're up there.
Yeah, we've got the Adirondacks right to the east of us here, but from Rome north, we continued on that Route 26, and the road kind of changed a little bit, right? Once we got north of Rome.
Yeah, I mean, this morning was all hilly and curvy and a real exciting road to ride, but it sort of lost that character as we got further north and straightened out a little bit, and it was more about farmlands and stuff. So, but there was lots of opportunities going up though to just jut off and check out some of these. They're not even marked as numbers on some of these side roads that we were looking at and went down. So lots of opportunity on a tour like this when you have no plans. Just if it starts getting a little bit quieter up front, then make a left and make the right.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the ride on this tour, because we chose to go with these maxi scooters, and you know, Hopper and Fonda, man, when they were doing Easy Rider, they had the Chopper Harleys, and then Ewing and Charlie Borman, you know, they had the GS Adventures, and everyone's gonna go, guys, why did you pick these bikes? But you know what? They were terrific for this trip.
It turned out to be the perfect bike for this trip, and this is my first long ride on them, and I really felt that, wow, what a great touring machine this is. You know, it's a maxi scooter, it's a 650cc GT, but it's got everything: heated grips, heated seats, adjustable windshield, great protection in the cold. It's just been a real great product to have out here.
I think it worked out really well for us. What's the plan for the remainder of the day?
Well, I think from here now we'll probably just take 12 and make our way over to Watertown, and there's a couple of towns on the way that look interesting. We'll see what they are when we come through them, maybe a couple more stops through there, but essentially, this is, like you said, this is the wind down to the day now, and we're just kind of heading towards the steak and a cold one.
Well, definitely, if you're going to follow this route that we've been on for the last 3 days, try to stick to our route south and our route north, because I love 26. Great run, but I really felt it was good that we were heading north on 26, because all the beautiful scenery just keeps opening up to your right the entire way as you're coming north.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, that was it was definitely a great view from our side of the road.
Well, let's keep an eye on the guys back there as they practice, wrap things up. Another ultimate ride, man.
Excellent.
Cool.
Now let's turn our attention to this season's contest giveaway. How would you like to win the keys to your very own Giorno? Well, here's Kylie to tell you how.
Thanks, Dave. Because we've been getting a lot of interest in scooters from viewers all across Canada, we thought we'd hold a contest where you could win my cool new Honda Giorno scooter. Here's how the contest is going to work. Each week, we're going to answer some viewer mail about scooters, and you need to remember the subject. So this week, we have an email from Michael Redner from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and he wants to know if scooters are tough to start. Well, I did some research, and here's the deal. Today, most new scooters like this one are pretty high-tech. Most are liquid-cooled, not air-cooled, so that makes them really quiet. Most have a belt final drive, so no messy chain to maintain, and many scooters, well, most in fact, are electric start and fuel injected, so no kickstart, no choke, just push the starter button and go. Sweet deal! So that's this week's contest key feature. Scooters are pretty high-tech and therefore easy to start. Now let's get right down to the nuts and bolts. How to enter the Keys to Kylie's Scooter contest. All you have to do is surf the Motorcycle Experience website and click on the Kylie's Keys link. Provide us with 3 key features or reasons for owning a scooter. Remember, every week I'm going to be giving you a key feature and you only need 3. So send those in and you'll be instantly entered into the draw to win the keys to my scooter, a brand new 2013 Honda Giorno. Awesome. So in a week or so, we'll be drawing to see who wins the keys to a brand new scooter on our last episode of the season. So good luck, everyone. Keep your fingers crossed and we'll see you next week.
Good luck, everyone. We're really getting down to the wire. Next, we'll head down to the Barber Museum in Alabama to take an up-close and personal look at one iconic motorcycle. Stay with us. Portions of Motorcycle Experience are brought to you in part by Honda Canada, BMW Motorrad, and Triumph Motorcycle. Welcome back as TSN presents The Experience. I'm Dave Hatch, and we'll wrap up our show now by taking a closer look at Triumph's 650cc air-cooled parallel twin that was designed in England right out of the gate back in 1959 to win the hearts and wallets of Americans. Its name paid tribute to a Texas racer named Johnny Allen, who had broken several land speed records on the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is a 1967 Bonneville, the year the company posted its most successful sales in the USA, with an estimated 28,000 rolling out the door. Barber Museum technical consultant Brian Slark picks up the story in this week's Triumph Time Capsule.
It was the most popular motorcycle in the 60s. I think every movie star, every celebrity, everybody was seen on a Bonneville. It was fast, it was flashy, it was light, typical British bike of the time, and they're still immensely popular. Easy to restore, easy to work on, parts available, very good resale. It's just an iconic motorcycle. 650 motor, it's been around since the late 30s, evolved over the years. In 1963 it went to unit construction. They rev out easy, they're fast, easy to tune. You can put all kind of racing cams in them and big valves, and you can trick them out, increase the performance. I think every young man's dream in the 60s was to own a Bonneville. I think the overall lines of the Triumph, you can see that they were designed with a man with a pencil. They weren't computerized. And the lines, just the gas tank and the run of the exhaust system, it's all done by eye, done by hand, by a very talented designer, a draftsman, and I think that's what makes it so clean. It's very narrow. It's a very narrow motorcycle, very light, very agile. They're still the most popular. The 60s are the most popular, still something you could ride today and has a performance that will keep you out of trouble. It's still pretty quick. Or you could have one in your office or in your den and just gaze at the thing and enjoy it. But it's better to have it on the highway.
Amazingly, Bonnies were produced from 1959 to 1975. Decades later, the Triumph Bonneville name and its popular parallel twin format lives on, now in the form of the fuel-injected 865cc Bonneville T100.
Well, that's it for this week's program, folks. We're all out of time, and keep in mind, just one more week to go, and then we'll pull a winner in our Honda Journal contest. So till then, keep your feet on the pegs and your right hand cranked. Bye for now.